Delegate Barbe, Senator Raskin, and Mr. Anderson. The question is what specific actions would you take in Congress to address the many environmental justice issues that we face in the country now? So first, Delegate Barbe.
Thank you. Environmental justice is obviously something that is very, very important and often the first thing that is ignored because people of color and communities of color are usually disproportionately impacted. The first thing that we really do have to do at the federal level is to acknowledge the fact that this is a part of the issue, which currently really is not. And secondly, we have to begin a process, in a regulatory process, to be certain that there are not over-concentrations of pollution emissions within communities of color and communities that are hard-pressed economically. Now, having said that, I want to make it very clear that we have to be very careful about the way in which we do this because there is a little bit of a trade-off here. Not much of one, but there is one in the sense that many of these communities are the ones who are going to need the jobs to lift themselves out of poverty. My way of seeing this is to proactively attack this problem by targeting those green jobs that we are going to begin to create in the 21st century into precisely those type of communities. We cannot simply ban the things we do not like. We have to have a vision for a clean 21st century where we actively seek jobs that are green and sustainable and then target them into communities where typically they would not ordinarily go. This is not simple, it is complex, but it is the way in which we have to travel.
Thank you. Senator Raskin.
Thank you, Kelly. So these are big times, and the various crises that the country is facing, of climate energy, of profound and deepening economic inequality, and of a failure of investment in the American infrastructure are converging. And we need to act. The Democratic Party needs to act because the other party has resigned. You mention climate change to them and they say, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, as if that weren't clear, right? If you're not a scientist, your job is to listen to the scientists, and they're all telling us the same thing. We need in America a Green Deal. We need massive investment in the ailing infrastructure because the trains are running off the tracks, the buildings are falling down, the roads are crumbling. We need to put people back to work, especially communities that have been affected deeply by unemployment, deeply and disproportionately by poverty. I will engage in a lot of legislation that will be attempting to stimulate the economy and bolster development in the most underserved communities. For example, things I've done in Maryland. The stormwater legislation, which has created a lot of jobs for people to work on stormwater and that deals with the single biggest growing cause of pollution in the Chesapeake Bay. The Lead Poisoning Prevention Act. The BPA ban in children's
Thank you for your thoughts, though. We want to hear from everyone.
Okay, very good.
Well, President Kennedy said, we have to fight the common enemies of man: tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Now, when you think about that, two of those, right? Poverty and disease. When JFK said that, he was separating the four things because they're each critically important. We have to resolve them all. Well, two of those are very closely connected: poverty and disease. So yes, if you're poor and you live near the water where there's extra runoff and pollution, that is very bad for your health. And yes, you may get a disease. So there's an overall problem of injustice, social injustice, actually in every society, not just in our society. The problem of environmental injustice is piggybacked on that. And what that means is, if you're going to introduce legislation to address a problem like environmental injustice, you're also trying to eliminate basic injustices at the outset. So, you have to have policies that help people who are poor. Those people are the ones who live in the environment where it's unhealthy for them. I certainly would support all kinds of stimulus programs, green jobs programs, especially for those people who are economically disadvantaged. So to me, the green jobs area is the key for trying to get people away from
Thank you for your
those
thoughts, but we want to
areas.
hear from everyone.
I think everybody's doing really well, keeping to the time schedule. Congratulations.